Hi, happy Thanksgiving. If anyone is looking at this on Facebook and we're coming off wishing me a happy birthday and taking time out of their holiday to do that, I thank you. Facebook just brings out the best in humanity, doesn't it? As we know, man. Yes, peace, love, and Facebook. So I wanted to just make a video kind of announcing, commemorating, publicizing, LOL, the album I put out yesterday. It's called The Less Gone. I would have done this yesterday if I could have, but I didn't have time because I went to see Bob Dylan at the Beacon Theater and I had a great dinner beforehand, so I didn't have time to promote my album, C'est la vie, but I'm doing it now. So yeah, let's talk about the album a little bit. I released Blue City Dawn in June of 2018. That was my first long player release that I would say had an official air about it. I had put something out. I had put a couple other things out. I think sound repulsive at this point, and I think that sounds a little better from a production standpoint. And yeah, I really wasn't planning on releasing another album after I put that out for 3, 4, 5 years or whatever. Because generally speaking, songwriting is really tricky. You really don't know what you really value as a performer. And those are the songs that have weight. You don't know what you value as a performer until often 2, 3, 4 years after you write it. You write something, you take it out, you play it at a few sets immediately thereafter, and you think it's going to be one of those songs that you continue to play for 4 or 5 years, and then you write something else that you like better, and that turns into the thing that you're playing, that you wrote in 2015 that you're still playing in 2019, and you really don't know at the time what category is a song going to fall under. So by that logic, you also need to know what songs to put on an album that you want to share with the public, that you want to represent your best work or put a good foot forward, because it is a little more complicated than that too. Because as Chuck Plotkin said, as I heard him say in a Dylan documentary one time, under review. It's a great documentary series actually. They do a really good job with that. He was making "Shot of Love" with Dylan, and songs get left off. Like I love Angelina, for instance, and he was explaining, an album is not simply all the best songs you wrote while you're making the album. It's a program of music. You can agree or disagree with that. I think at the time, actually, the first time I heard that, I was like, bullshit. Just put the best songs on the album. don't leave a great song off. But actually, that was like 7 or 8 years ago. I really understand that more now. Because the more I've listened to music, I think the more I enjoy albums that pull you through the experience of listening to it it can be a loosely defined theme or overt. I think listening to a lot of David Bowie in the past 8 years or whatever, and I think Leonard Cohen too. Those two artists, which I think wouldn't be compared too often, but I think if you listen to their albums, there's a strong thematic conceit kind of running through them, especially David Bowie, of course, with his inventions, but also Cohen as a writer on an album. I think he takes an opportunity to drive at something particular, especially on an album like The Future, for instance. So I've kind of come around on thinking the theme plays a significant role too. So time passing and thinking of a theme and all that, and when you consider all those factors, you can understand why someone wouldn't think it's particularly realistic to release an album a year and a half, or a little, a little over a year and a half since another one was released. And Blue City Dawn, I decided would be an album about New York City. And that was clear to me while I was making it, and I didn't really have anything I really wanted to do for a follow up, and it kind of happened organically, where I wrote this song Camellia, and it had a it has a gothic sensibility. It has a lot of influences, soup that led to that it emerged out of primordial or what have you, or literary or whatever, literary primordial soup. And Wuthering Heights is definitely a part of that, as it comes to that song. And I thought that it felt very different from anything else I'd written. And I think in hindsight, I was also thinking it could. I wasn't thinking this consciously, but it was maybe like a new direction for me as a songwriter, and I'm still kind of not sure what that might be. But I think I'm kind of getting at it. And I just had this notion the first time I played it live. I was very, very excited to play it live. It was at Caffeine Underground, and a couple of years ago. And I was like, I want to read something before I play this, because I want to set a mood. I want to set the proper ambience, because I think this is a song with ambience. So I don't usually do that. And I think it was the first thing I was playing that afternoon. So I was like, I need to set an ambience for the 4 or 5 people barely paying attention to me in the cafe, in addition to my mom and dad who come to most of my sets, which I'm eternally grateful for. And that's what I did. And I was like, what do I read? It's weird, the random connections your mind makes. I remembered Nightmare on Elm Street, actually, and this great quote that made an impression on me. I think when I was like a little kid, I was watching A Nightmare on Elm Street, and what I thought, what I believed, what I haven't double checked, because the story goes in a different direction, but what I thought was an Edgar Allan Poe quote about dreams, before Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1. And I was like, man, that quote, that would be perfect to read before Camellia. So instead of trying to watch the movie, I Googled Edgar Allan Poe dreams. And I don't think I found the quote from the movie. I haven't double checked. But I found this poem, A Dream Within a Dream, by Edgar Allan Poe. And I had 2 reactions when I was reading it. I was like, this is a fucking great poem, number one. And the second thing was, this relates perfectly to the song. Oops, I just dropped my pick. So it was a pretty kind of vivid thing when I read a dream within a dream, and it's, now I could definitely say it's one of my favorite poems. And what happened was, introducing that poem into my thought process about the song was catalytic and kind of driving a wider thematic idea that could fill an album. And the song is about, I think, relationships and the dreamlike quality of intimate conversation, interaction, what have you, where your reality shifts, like tuning a radio, like one of those old car radios aren't like this anymore, but changing the frequency, so to speak. And that experience of being with somebody. So the title of the album is derived from a line in the poem, I think most related to what I'm saying. Is it therefore the less gone? When these experiences are gone, like dreams that we had. And we have to kind of make sense of the memories. And it's very complicated. So I was like, wow, that's something I'm very interested in. I've had an interest in striving or trying to capture relationships that way, and they can be. I'm not just talking about romantic things. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about how the person you are in one circumstance might be subtly different or overtly different in other circumstances. I think depending on your life as well, when if you find yourself through the course of time and through the course of your life in situations which seem really asymmetrical, uh, very different people, very different surroundings, depending on where you are, and trying to make sense of that. So I think those are all things I'm very interested in. I don't know if I've captured them as well as I would like in my fiction, but I think as a songwriter, I have really delved into it. So, with that kind of in my dome, and the realization that a lot of the songs I'd written in the time period between my first album being released and now, I'd gone in a different direction that was specifically related to the mysteries basically that I'm talking about. Two people having an effect on each other essentially, and in all three of the songs I'm thinking of the times past and the narrator's attempting to make sense, I believe, in the recall of what happened, or comparing the situation then to the situation he's in now, or mourning time. All these things we do as human beings to try to make sense of the scenery that's going by. So yeah, I had written these three songs in particular, "At the Mercy of a Melody," "Camellia," and "The Sum of Our Dreams." And I realized when viewed in that context, they nestle together pretty well. Um, so I was like, okay, I there's a difference between having some songs built up and feeling like they are occupying the same hand, they're digits on the same hand or whatever. And that's the place I got to through the experience of finding that poem, which was, a long time ago. It was a year and a half ago. So it takes a lot of time to see how you can put these things together. And then from there, once you kind of have the thematic conceit going on, then you can kind of look through your all your songs. I've been writing songs for like 10 years. So I made this big list of songs which could potentially fit, in this context of kind of analyzing relationships. And I found a few that I thought worked. I left out a few that I liked. There's still songs. There's always songs, for another album. So you gotta kind of like make those decisions. But yeah, like life goes on, and I feel weird about doing this stuff. It really can provoke anxiety, because I don't know what I'm responsible for. I don't know how responsible I should feel for getting the music out there. A song exists whether or not people hear it. A song means something to me whether or not people hear it. And I have a show next Friday at the Greenpoint Gallery where I'm ostensibly going to be celebrating this release. But essentially, I'm just playing a show, and there's songs that I play, and they exist that way. And I feel the danger of doing this stuff. And I think it really did have an effect on me yesterday when I was, quite frankly, not thrilled that I wasn't able to get something up. And you feel this weird pressure, but the artifice of social media cannot be reality. Cannot be reality. It doesn't have anywhere approaching that power. It can do things. It can be an organizing principle. It can kind of bring people together if they're willing to meet in reality, and things like that. But when it's becoming more important in your hierarchy than reality itself, you feel the tension of living a lie. Not to be too dramatic. So I want to keep moving. I want to post this. I want to thank you for watching. I'm going to play a couple of the songs now that I've talked about them. Camellia and At the Mercy of a Melody. And life goes on. And that's something I want to say. And, sharing a post about an album, like, that might be a little novel. I'll tell you, as the person who made the album, whatever. I'm putting it out. I hope people listen. But I had a really cool thing that just happened to me, actually, on my birthday, on a holiday, and trying in a rush to be somewhat articulate making this video and thinking about what I wanted to do. But I had a melody for a new song come to me, and I really, really liked it. And I just felt like whatever, the universe or whatever, telling me, keep moving. My job is to write songs. My job is to write. My job is to be an artist, whatever that might mean. Who knows? But that's my job. My job's not to get hung up on the artifice of, because even an album is just an artifice ultimately. It's just this convenient packaging of of songs so you can introduce yourself to people. But we need to do these things. We have to make plans, and we have to be out interacting with the world. So I think a lot of musicians would rather just put songs out as they come. Like, I think Bruce Springsteen really loves tracks for that reason. This gigantic box set he put out of studio outtakes spanning his career in 1998, and he seems very, very fond of that. And it's an amazing piece of work. And in a different world, that would be the model of music making. Here you go. But I do think, from a creativity standpoint, it is cool to try to find themes for what you're doing. And think in a literary way. I think albums are literary, but again, it can't be more important than just doing it. That's what I'm fucking saying, and when you're feeling that pull of the artifice infringing on just being yourself and what you do, and where you feel like maybe it defines you, the response to an album you put out, the response to an Instagram post you make, or the Facebook post you share. We can't measure ourselves that way, because I think it's bullshit. So let me close this shindig by playing Camellia, which I was talking about as being so central to this album existing. And I'll play At the Mercy of a Melody as well, because, like I said, it was writing these songs which allowed me to make this album. I also want to thank Caldwell Connection in Whitestone Village, and my guitar teacher of 8 years, Chris Parks, and my vocal teacher of, I think, 5 years, Zuhaila Jason, for helping me be what I want to be, which is a musician. So thank you guys. Thank you for listening, if you made it this far. The Less Gone is available on Spotify, it's available on iTunes, it's available on Apple Music, and even Napster, which exists, which still exists seemingly. I don't know if you download my album and it's a bootleg. It's like it's a Trojan horse for a Bill Clinton a guy with a Bill Clinton voice trying to sell something. Do you remember those on LimeWire or Napster? Yeah. Wild West, man. The fucking end of the music industry. This is Camellia. if I turned out this light, but my loan got denied for dreaming, and the best songs they live at night. Wish I had your mind for company at this hour. I have no one to hold, and starlight never kisses true city flowers. I experiment electric in my peaceful laboratory, shaping the static with my palms aflame, so we may feel the same continuity in a make-believe story. Hello and good night. Like a comet in flight, I was holding you, an hour ago, but like the mercality of the moon, in bed with a shadowed face in a mirrored room. When morning came, I never knew which camellia I'd be talking to. Well, which camellia? Which camellia? Which camellia am I talking to? Which camellia? Which camellia? Which camellia are you? Night conversations while sleepwalking the estate, a bouquet of black roses in your unzipped leather coat. You tear a petal for each defeat I tolerate, for one of us is living and one of us is dead. One of us knows but only wants to feed the neon swans the crumbs of bread. And when I try to touch you, it's when the dream must end. I return to the world where your melodies found company, and all you wanted from me was to be your friend to the end. But I couldn't go out like that. Hello and good night. Like a comet in flight, I was in your arms an hour ago, but like the mercality of the moon, in bed with a shadowed face in a mirrored room, yeah. When morning came, I never knew which camellia I'd be talking to, yeah. Which camellia? Which camellia? Which camellia am I talking to? Which Camellia? Which Camellia, baby? Which Camellia are you? Alright, that was Camellia. That was an aggressive way of playing it. I didn't play it that way on the album. I played it a little more subtle. Alright, well, thank you again. And again, if you check out the album, thank you. If you just check out this video, thank you. It is Thanksgiving, so enjoy the holiday. Yes. At the Mercy of a Melody. What an appropriate song to end this video with. On the sidewalk at nighttime in the rain, head dripping, head tilted, 20 stories where the yellow crane is up top, and a man in a box reaches for a black cat trapped on the window pane. Then you continue into the anxious crowd gathered behind the blue barricade. They have an electric feel. People discuss when simultaneously excited and afraid. There are rumors of lightning. People debating how much the crane savior gets paid. And to think I've been so alone, scrounging hope from a screen on my cell phone, walking with an orchestra in my head, passing another human being, making his cardboard bed. What good does a song ever do? What color is your love? I guess a shade of blue. Of blue. Under the marquee at noontime in the heat, another atom outside the garden where we said we'd one day meet. Yeah, for your sellout, without a doubt, it's your mother crying in the front row seat. We prayed for one thing meant to be, but so many girls can melodize a beat. Well, you trusted me. I said sign those papers. They wanted our songs and we came cheap. Our lives entwined the night that cat survived. But now you won't even wave from across the street. Hey Vicky, do you still live at the mercy of a melody? Do you tell yourself your world inside is enough company? Do you travel light? Maintain a low overhead when it all feels empty? Do you bring your guitar to bed? And what good now does a song ever do if when we say I love you, it's not really true? True. I was at the mercy of the melody. You can find those two songs and many others on my new album. Hold on, you want to see some advertising? Let's do some advertising right here. Oh no, I need a where do I have a pen? Yeah, here we go. Not a pencil, a pen. Here we go, right here. Wherever you dream, wherever you stream. Here we go. Here we go. See that? Is that reading? I can't tell myself. The Less Gone. It's out now. It's available on Spotify if you feel like. I'm not gonna say it. it's available on Spotify. I'm not gonna say it. It's available on Spotify. I will appreciate it if you listen to it on Spotify for sure. It's available on iTunes. I didn't write Apple Music. Apple Music. Just pretend Apple Music is there. The Less Gone. Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, wherever you stream, wherever you dream. Thank you so much if you watch this. And thank you so much if you check the album out. Link below. Link below. One of us. Enjoy your holiday.